I'm a little late to the party, but I had access at like 1 AM my time, I couldn't be bothered, but we're still going to be doing an interactions video, starting with Vito's ult. We know that when he ults, he heals back really quick. You can see I took some drop damage, I healed back super quick. But can you still be buffed? Because we know that the ult negates everything, but does it negate allied stuff? Well, it's actually pretty simple. If I take damage, I can still be healed because that is a buff, not a debuff. So it's only when it's debuff, regardless of ally or enemy, that it is negated. For example, I'm in the ult, I'll have Sage throw down a slow. She's slowed by her own orb, obviously, but I'm not. Debuff equal gone, buff equal you'll take it. So you can completely make Vito a raid boss using a few abilities. For example, if Brimmy throws down the stimmy the way I like it, you can actually run around even when you're buffed, and you will get that speed movement boost. A lot of people were mentioning in the comments, let's say this thing below me is a spike instead of a stimmy. If I am diffusing it, can, Brim mask my diffuse using his ult and I won't die because I'm an ult? Absolutely you can. Is it a waste a little bit? I think it might be, but I'm not entirely sure. It would be an interesting strategy to test out. Next, Vito versus Vito, you can destroy each other's interceptor. In that case, I just pulled it back, but let's say we both throw it out. I'm using two computers and I'm pressing E at the exact same time, but no matter what, one beats the other based off of millisecond timing, but it will destroy another interceptor. That's the main thing to understand, meaning if the enemy's Vito's active and you try to throw yours out, he's the one who's going to win. That's the one thing. He can intercept your interceptor. Funny enough, in general, Vito does counter Vito because if an interceptor is up, everything that Vito throws out gets smoked, bro. Like literally everything. Obviously, I can still ult, but otherwise this thing is annoying and you're going to realize how annoying it is. Astra's stars do not get smoked. I tried having it active while placing them, but let's activate it and then actually use the stars. Do the stars' abilities get smoked once they're present? Well, luckily for Astra players, no, not quite. So we're going to throw it out, we're going to activate it, and now I'm going to pull in, I'm going to stun, I'm going to smoke, it doesn't matter. And once it's smoked, it also cuts off line of vision, so we can say F Vito with that. It also doesn't try to damage Astra's wall ult or anything like that. Breach also be chilling here, because no matter what you throw out, that thing is not going to touch Breach, which is really, really good since... I hate Breach, but this thing I'm starting to hate a lot more, and you're going to understand why. So I'm going to be an enemy Brim this time. We're going to throw it out. I'm going to throw out a Molly. Nope. I'm going to throw out a Stimmy. Nope. I'm going to smoke it off. Then I can throw a Molly over. And the thing is, this thing does appear on the map because if you ult, you'll be able to see it for that split second. Of course, it's not going to block an ult, so no need to redo that. Now, when the enemy is ulted, he is supposed to be invincible, but he's not going to be invincible to anything that would be considered a gun. So Chamber is okay because both his guns count as a gun. This will also count as Neon ult and Jet Knives. I believe I showed Jet Knives later, but I don't remember if I show Neon ult. But either way, those will all kill him. You just can know right now, those will all destroy the enemy. But with that being said, Interceptor is still causing major damage to Chamber, his traps, and everything in between. But let's go next to Clove. If Interceptor is placed up, Clove can obviously still kill and heal. That is not going to be intercepted whatsoever. That would be insane. Her Q, though, will get intercepted. Her E, which is the smoke, of course, will not because it doesn't bounce off of anything. And obviously, as Clove, you can still ult. And then if, again, you smoke it off, then you can throw your vulnerable, and that will work. So it's just a lot of basics. It's pretty easy to understand what will work or not work. There's a couple hidden stuff. So let's say here's Cypher, and this is also going to apply with Chamber stuff. So if I'm throwing out a ton of stuff, you can see they are all being intercepted, right? Okay, cool. If I throw them out and let them become invisible, there are a couple cool things. So the trap and camera, everything here is invisible now. Okay, so we're going to have Vito re-throw out the interceptor. With that being said, it is active. And if I throw Cage, we're chilling. And then I can camera, and the trip is still invisible, and we're relaxed. With that being said, it's not quite that easy. Once they disappear, we're going to throw out another one. If I try to camera, it gets instantly destroyed. If I have Vito walk into the trap, it instantly saves him. So it basically, as long as the thing is still invisible, it won't see it and will not attack it. This will apply to a couple other things that we're going to touch on. So we're going to have him ult because people are going to ask, and no, you cannot cocoon him. You cannot do anything. I want you guys to apply one thing just so this isn't a 1 hour video. He cannot be touched by anything. There is nothing that will mess him up while he's in his ult unless it is considered a gun like Jet Knives or Chamber. With that being said, as you would expect, Deadlock is the same thing. Everything gets destroyed. The ult doesn't get destroyed, but everything else does get destroyed. And same thing, it will also apply. If our trap is invisible, it won't see it and won't destroy it, but if you walk into it, it'll then zap it. Moving on from there, we're going to be touching on Fade. So Fade also gets pretty hard countered. Basically everything you throw out just gets deleted. Now you can ult, but his ult also counters, you know, her ult. So he's doing his job in the sense that he counters all abilities. We're going to go to Gecko, same thing. Little bro comes out, little bro gets zapped. Literally every little Pokemon here gets absolutely decimated, which is very, very unfortunate, including the ult. And you'd think like, oh, maybe you have a second in it. I guess you have half a second in it, but it also gets decimated. It's just crazy. It's honestly insane. I was like kind of just looking at it, and there's even a crazier clip a little bit later, which blows my mind. Harbor, though, the rework is coming, so you're gonna have to take this with a grain of salt right now. Only the Cove will get hit, but everything else is chilling. And then I realized it was targeting Vito when I ulted. So I was wondering, okay, I know he won't take damage, but can I ult to find where he is? And you can. It'll still show where Vito is. He's not invisible per se, which is weird because he's invisible to other stuff. You'll see in a second. But in this case, the ult will try to find Vito even if he's in the ult, which is pretty interesting. Moving on from there, ISO. So ISO is interesting because once Vito's thing is active, for the most part, I found him pretty good. Like everything works. But then something really weird happened. Something really weird happened. So say alt, okay, I make Vito alt, he's not gonna get clipped in. Okay, all good. But something if he ults and activates and I go for my orbs, like wait, let me use my shield. And I go for my orbs, bam. The orbs get zapped, bro. Why do the orbs get zapped? Moving on from there, we're going to Jet. So if you pop your knives, even if he's in his, you didn't see that. I didn't whiff. He still dies, so yeah, you're good to go. If he ults, you are still fine, and you can use your knives, you can aim duel him, which is actually really, really good. On top of that, Jet's actually chilling because only the smoke gets intercepted, which is a big deal. Don't get me wrong, it is a big deal for entry, but at least you can aim duel him with your movement and precise knives. That's pretty good. You mean updraft, kill, dash away, all that's still gonna work, and I think that's really, really important. KO does get hard countered because the flash is gone, the knife is gone, and guess what? The molly's gone as well. You can ult, and if you ult before he's ulted, you will stop him from ulting, but otherwise, obviously, he won't be suppressed when he ults, since it'll counter it. Killjoy, here's where things are really, really funny. Watch this. Okay, so Killjoy, everything you place, again, gets zapped, right? Killjoy gets completely cooked. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna throw down the ult as well. So does the ult get cooked? 3, 2, 1, the ult gets cooked. Okay, but Killjoy stuff, a lot of them do go invisible. So let's place down everything and then have him throw up the zapper, and then we'll enable everything and see how does it deal with like 5 abilities all at once, all being activated at the same time. Okay, so it's damaging him. We're gonna throw it up. Bam, enabled. They're gone, bro. They're gone. They are gone. Neon, on the other hand, is actually really, really good because obviously the run's not going to be changed. The stun is, unfortunately, but the wall isn't changed. And I think I'm an idiot. I forget to ult, but you can ult and you can kill Vito using your ult. Oh, okay, I do test it. I thought I was an idiot for some reason. But yeah, you can absolutely smoke him. Omen is also very solid. You can teleport. It's not like stop your teleport. You can blind, and it blinds the interceptor as well. You can throw out a smoke, and if you were to ult, this one I was just wondering if it cancel your ult, because you know how you can like shoot Omen's ult. I didn't know if it was going to count as Omen or count as ability. It does count as Omen, meaning you can still ult and it won't shoot you or stop your ult. And if you do blind it, I saw this in Konga's video, if you blind it, it is actually blinded and all other abilities can now go past it. I mean, it's not super useful to particularly blind it on purpose, but it does help with entry if you know where it's going to be. Phoenix, on the other hand, the wall doesn't even get zapped. Like, Neon's wall gets zapped, but it still goes through. But everything else with Phoenix does get zapped. And same idea, I did test the ult to see if it's going to do anything, and it doesn't. You're chilling. You can ult with Phoenix, no problemo. Raze gets a short end of the stick, to say the least, because once things are active, your Boombot doesn't work. I got so excited, then I realized I forgot that I was still on the same team as the Vito, so I had to swap, and yeah, don't get your hopes up, because once it's active, you throw that Boombot, it gets zapped. You throw that grenade, you already know, it gets zapped. You want a satchel? It doesn't matter, because it gets zapped. Your ult doesn't even get countered by his ult, which it does. It also gets countered by the zapper. Bro, seeing an entire like Raze rocket, right? Like all those ult points melt into nothing is crazy. Now the Boombot does target him when he's ulted, so you can use it to flush him out, and you can ult, but it won't do anything, so it's pretty much useless. It's crazy. It's crazy how hard he counters like abilities in general. You know what I mean? Reyna cannot blind. Obviously, I tried to get the orb, and it doesn't shoot the orb, so it shoots Iso's orb, but it doesn't shoot Reyna's orb, and that's just because Iso's orbs like, you know, ISO has to shoot them. So they're interactable, where the Reyna orbs are only activated through an ability. Sage's wall does get absolutely deleted, so does her slow. I can really test revive or heal, but I mean, it's not going to zap an invisible heal to an ally, but, you know. There was something I was wondering. It's like, so let's say you wanted to enter a site. So let's say we're going to throw up this wall, and then Vito wants to explode through this wall. If he comes around, throws it, activates, like, it's actually a pretty quick way to get to deal with Sage's wall. It might be a little bit of a waste unless you're in a 1vx situation. And I think it's okay. You know what I mean? Obviously, if you have a whole team, just delete it together. But yeah, Skye does get hard countered. For some reason, I thought the flash wouldn't because it can no longer be shot. Yeah, it still absolutely counters everything. Even Skye's ult gets deleted. Sova, all darts get deleted, as well as the drone. And then here's something very, very interesting. So I shoot the thing for some reason. I guess I got really pissed at it. But let's say he's ulted and I shoot him. He's not going to take damage. Okay, cool. But let's say we go behind cover. What I'm going to do is disappear, go behind cover, and try to ult him. Does it at least reveal him? And no, it doesn't. I'm looking at my other monitor so I can see that I'm aiming. It doesn't reveal him. Okay, that's interesting. He's ulted. Can I reveal him with an arrow? And no, because being revealed is a debuff. So no, you can't even reveal Vito when he's in his ult, which is so weird. Even if you ping with a Cypher Cam so you can see him through the wall, then he ults, it removes the ping. Like, you don't have to actually take out the Cypher Cam, and you can't re-ping him. So that's it. Like, he cannot be revealed while in his ult. That's the point I'm trying to make. Taeho, for the most part, does get cooked. You know, I already haven't seen much Taeho after the nerfs, but yeah, including the rockets. So the rockets will get intercepted on the way. You can ult. I know I missed it there. I do recheck just in case. I check a couple times. You can ult as Taeho. Viper, a lot of people are going to be a little bit upset about, and I understand why, because the orb gets zapped, and the orb is already really weak. You can't even repick it back up. The trap gets zapped. The wall does not, though, and obviously you can still ult, and I wanted to check something. So if I ulted, Vito right now is losing HP. If he ults, he does get that HP back, and he doesn't become invisible by, like, to that red effect. So I assume Reyna as well. If Reyna ults, you can still see everyone as that brighter color, regardless if Vito ults or not. It doesn't count as a reveal or a debuff of any sorts. And instead, I guess it's more of a buff for you. That's why it's like a self buff for you. Now, when it comes to Vice, Vice is interesting. At first, I got excited, and again, I forgot to swap teams, which makes sense. If you try to flash after the fact, it'll still snap it, it'll destroy it, it doesn't really matter. The wall as well, if the wall gets triggered, it doesn't actually try to do any damage to it. So I'm going to stand still, I'm going to throw out another one, I'm going to trigger the wall. It doesn't interact with it at all. It doesn't, like, if it can't damage it, it doesn't try to, like, fake damage it, you know what I mean? But everything else still gets cooked. And the ult, this part is interesting. So let's say I ult. We know what the ult does to Vito. So I'm going to ult Vito, and he's going to lose his gun as expected. I'm going to get close just so you can see it. And Vito doesn't have to be proactive. He can react, meaning he can get ulted, then he can ult, and it'll remove the debuff. Now, does Waylay get cooked? Well, Waylay's, you know, slow does get cooked. Her dash will not get cooked. And if you place the teleporter behind you, it doesn't get cooked. Same idea, though, is going to happen here. We're going to debuff Vito, and he's going to move really slow, but then the minute he's ulted, he will remove that debuff as well and be able to run fast again. So yeah, you're starting to get the idea. He cooks most things. He doesn't shoot a Yoru clone, thank goodness. He won't yeet it out. The teleporter and flash do get destroyed, but only the second part of the flash, because the first part of the flash is invisible. So if it's invisible to a player, as you've seen with traps and everything else, it is invisible to the interceptor as well. So it's only after it bounces that it's going to do damage. This is actually pretty good news, because let's say we do this really obscure far distance flash. If it's too close, it's still going to zap it, but at a good enough distance, it'll flash both the interceptor as well as Vito. It's going to take a little bit of work, but I am curious if being in customs and learning some further lineups to counter Vito will be worth it. Now, if you hear a background fan, that's just my laptop going off in case I need to quickly record any other interactions. You can proc the teleporter while falling. So this was a very bad example, but it means you can put the teleporter, jump off Abyss, turn around, and activate it. But the teleporter is very loud. Konga tested up to 42 meters, or 41 meters, sorry. You can hear that shit. So, like, bro, people are going to know when you teleported. There's no need to try and be slick about it. With that being said, you see I'm playing around with it a little bit here. You can place like the teleporter. Let's say you want to place it up heaven and you want to hold really, really close. Now, it's not a chamber teleport or even a Yoru teleport. It is slower. So you're not going to want to, like, let's say judge in this corner, because if more than one pushes you and you only get one, you don't want to go like one and disappear. But what you can do is, let's say you want to hold this corner. You can't reach all the way to heaven, but you can place one at a halfway point, for example, and then you can hold this again. And let's say you hear footsteps and you want to take an off angle fight a little bit early. You can peek, shoot, get back into cover. Hopefully you get one and you're hidden and you have enough time because you're hidden to teleport. They're going to hear it here, but then you teleport again heaven. They won't hear the one in heaven because it's far enough. So you're going to think you teleported close, but you're actually going to be all the way in heaven when they finish the push. It is going to be used 2 teleporters. I don't know how good that is, but it is something to think about, right? So the teleporters are still basically just teleporters, not much ability interactions to work with here. There is a lot of theory crafting to do on how to use them. On the flip side, let's say you throw out a trap. The trap isn't like Deadlock's net. Like, it takes a bit to activate, so you're gonna have to wait for that shit to actually proc if you're trying to use it to clear a corner. With that being said, on top of that, the trap can be heard, and then it can be baited really easily. So the trap and teleporter are still stuff we've seen in the game before. It's his ult and the interceptor. That's interesting, but let me know what you think down below.